Hello, everyone, and
Hello.
welcome to our webinar. Together with Patricia, we will explore this morning how to make learning stick with an AI companion. So, just for the sake of subtitles, because our webinar is in English, you can click on the captions icon and choose your language if needed. So we will find this icon at the bottom of your screen. It's called CC, and then you can choose your subtitles. So I am Isabelle Drouet de la Thibauderie, manager for the HR, learning and author expertise, and I have been working on that project for France.
And hello, everyone. My name is Patricia Santos, and I'm leading the development of AI solutions at Cegos. And together with my colleague, Isabel, we've been directly involved in designing and deploying the AI companion that you will meet today.
So, first a few words and figures on Cegos. Cegos is the international leader for training for professionals, operating in more than 50 countries, with over 20,000 corporate customers and a network of 500 training experts. He's operating in different fields: management, leadership, projects, soft skills, HR, finance, sales, AI, and so more. This year is a special year for us as it is our 100th anniversary. So the Cegos Group helps companies with a wide range of solutions on international training projects with the right level of customization, with ready-to-use training solutions, what we call, in fact, on-the-shelf offers, and outsourcing and learning services to support companies on efficient transformation for their learning and development ecosystem. So here is our agenda for this morning. We will start with the challenge and the origins of a project. Then we will take you through the journey and the lessons we've learned on that project. We will share, of course, our Cegos expertise on bringing and building AI companions. And we will end with the exploration of the added value of these AI companions. We will approximately spend 40 minutes explaining and sharing all these things, and then we will end with 15 minutes questions and answer. And please feel free to place questions in the chat area. So let us review the reasons why we developed this project. We all are aware of the tremendous power and added value artificial intelligence can bring in learning and development activities. Through a first experiment, I would say, it clearly appeared to us that AI was a great asset in learning to go a step ahead than traditional learning does. How? By enhancing, personalizing, adapting the learning experience to the learner's needs, very close, in fact, to their real-life work situations. And of course, by extending the experience after in the indoor training experience.
So, if AI already brings this kind of potential to learning, the real question for us was, what do our clients actually expect from it? So over the past months, we've conducted the global Voice of the Client campaign, and we have now more than 700 interviews across countries, industries, and roles. And what came out is very clear. You can see on the screen. Clients are not primarily asking AI just the tools. What they expect from us as L&D partners is more personalized learning journeys, better skills needs analysis, and clear impact on performance. So the conversation is not about technology. It's about making learning more relevant, more effective for each individual. And now, let's compare these expectations with what organizations are actually doing today. And we have a question. And the question that we've asked our clients. So our clients are mentioning, of course, blended learning, digital learning, coaching, etc. But can you guess how many have declared that they have already integrated AI in their learning solutions? So this is a question for you. So if could you all reply? So how many? So I was surprised to see. Yes? Do we have replies already or not? I was surprised to see that only around 5% of organizations have integrated AI in their learning solutions today. And from our interviews, this is not because of a lack of interest, quite the opposite. What we see is that there are three main barriers. First, trust and risks. People are concerned about data, about compliance and the reliability of AI. Second, the lack of clear use cases. So many organizations are experimenting, but they don't know how to translate AI into real learning value. And third, integration challenges. How do you embed AI into existing learning journeys, platforms, and how to use it from a pedagogical point of view? So I'm also curious to hear from you all that are attending today. Are you in this 5% or not? So let's see. I'm very, very curious. Let's see if we have replies now. So just write, so just select yes or no. Waiting a few seconds. And it's funny, I was seeing now your messages, and everyone believed that we have more, I would say the average.
Well,
the replies were
it's interesting. It's, let's say, half, Patricia. Yes, we have something like 52%.
Maybe, yes.
And no, 48%. So
Yeah.
it's very split. Interesting.
Yes, it's a tie. So at least from our participants today, we do have more people already integrating AI in their learning solutions. So like I was saying, the issue is not the technology itself. The issue is how to make AI work in a real learning context. And that's exactly the challenge that we decided to address, which is how the project of the AI companion has started. So our starting point was simple. If AI is going to play a role in learning, it has to be designed for learning, not just added like a chatbot. So like many of you, I suspect, everything really started with the launch of ChatGPT in the end of 2022. We began exploring how AI could be used in the learning process. And at the same time, we could see a lot of new tools that were emerging on the market, especially around AI coaching and adaptive learning. So I'm sure that many of you have already tested them as well. So naturally, our first reflex was not to build anything. We wanted to test what already existed. But in parallel, we were also looking very closely at the regulation. So it was when the GDPR issues were coming, and we started listening about the AI Act and what it means for us as an L&D partner. So quite quickly, we identified two major limitations with the existing AI solutions in the market. So first, we didn't really control how the AI was trained and how it behaved. Second, we couldn't guarantee the level of compliance and trust that our clients expected, especially in the European context. So despite all the ideas, use cases that we were exploring, we reached a clear conclusion. We couldn't just plug an existing AI tool in our learning ecosystem. So that's why in July 2025, so it was last year, 9 months ago, we made a strategic decision. We had to build our own solution, a solution that was controlled, compliant, hosted in Europe, and based on an European model. I don't know if you know Mistral, but Mistral is a French LLM, and we felt that it was important to design using an European LLM with a clear objective. We wanted to increase learning engagement and support real transfer into the workplace. So, continuing the journey, we can move to the next point. So we want to share with you the how we've done it and what we learned from taking this journey, because I can imagine that many of you are facing the same questions today. When we moved from exploration to building something, we had to face the reality quite quickly. So AI is powerful, but it's not reliable by default. Yes, it can accelerate learning, but it can also accelerate mistakes, confusion, or even false confidence. And the key issue is this: AI doesn't understand the consequences. It executes what is asked to do. And without the right framework, the risks are very clear. And you all have heard about them: the hallucinations, bias, data leaks, copyright issues. And in our context, with the GDPR and the AI Act, this is not just a technical challenge, it's a responsibility. The question became, how do we make AI safe, useful, and educational at the same time? One of the key lessons that we learn is that the quality of the AI is not just about the model that we choose, it's about the behavior we design around it. And our content, if our content is weak, if we don't have rules that are not clear, we will get unreliable outcomes. That's why we decided to shift our approach completely. Instead of seeing AI as a tool, we design it as a system. And we decided to put a controlled content, clear roles, clear behaviors, make sure there was human validation, and full traceability with logs and monitoring. So the objective was to move from a risky AI to a trained, validated, and supervised learning partner. And this also means something very concrete. We wanted to be able to monitor what was really happening. And so let me show you how we track and analyze the use of AI companions in practice. So I do hope everyone can see the screen. And on the screen, you see our AI cockpit. And I have to be honest, it was very, very difficult, because when we were looking at the market, trying to find benchmarks on how to monitor AI, we couldn't find them. So we had to ask ourselves, what do we want to measure? How do we want to actually see if the AI is performing well in a learning context? That's why we decided also to build our own approach that you see on the screen. And from the beginning, we made a clear distinction between two things: so usage and quality. So on this dashboard, what you see first are the usage indicators. So number of messages, sessions, active companions, the average session time, number of interactions. So we decided all these indicators as an overview to see how the different agents were performing. And of course, this would help us understand the adoption and the engagement. We also knew this was not enough. What really matters is the AI behaving correctly? Okay, but we also had these GDPR issues. So we wanted to find a way to track the quality. So for example, how can we get the alerts to know when the answers from the AI are out of scope, or when the agent is failing to respond properly, or when the interactions with the user are creating confusion? So the idea was that this system could alert us, not only just reporting on usage, but also telling us and tagging conversations that were, let's say, a quality alert. What you see on the screen is the data that came from our testing phase. So this was critical for us because it allowed us to adjust, to improve, and to fix issues before going live. And I think there is also another key takeaway. You need a testing and monitoring phase before scaling any AI in a learning context. So this continuous monitoring will allow us to continue to improve over time, and it will help us to improve the content, but also the rules and the design around the system. So now, let me share with you how the system was created. How do we actually control what the AI is doing? And this is linked to the architecture of these 3 levels that you can also see on the screen. This architecture is very critical. And from the beginning, we knew that we had 2 goals. We wanted control, but we also wanted flexibility. We didn't want a generic chatbot, and we wanted something that behaves like a Cegos learning companion that is aligned with our values, our pedagogy, and our content. That's why we decided to use a RAG approach, so a RAG architecture. I don't know if you know what it is, so it's retrieval augmented generation, and this allowed us to have these 3 levels. The first 2 that you see are transversal. It means that what we put on these 2 levels are automatically applied to any agent that we create. So level 1 is the Cegos DNA. This is who we are, our values, our positioning, our ethical framework. So this ensures that every answer stays aligned with our standards. The level 2 is the Cegos pedagogy. This is how the AI behaves as a learning partner, how it explains, how it asks questions, and how it supports the learners. And this is key because AI is not just about giving answers, it's how it guides learning. At this level, so level 2, we also allow some flexibility. So the teams can adapt the tone and behavior depending on the context. So what you see here are actually prompts. So you have like the fixed default prompts, and then you have this middle one where the expert that is designing an AI can also fine-tune. The last level you see on the screen is all about the Cegos expertise. And as you can imagine, this is where the real value comes from. This is the course content or the client context. So it's the subject matter expert expertise. And this level is fully controlled and validated before being used. Another key lesson for us was you don't plug in AI, you program it, you feed it, and you validate it. And this structure that you see here with these 3 levels is what allows us to combine consistency, personalization, and control. And of course, this architecture only works if the content and the configuration are properly tested. Isabel, You were
Yeah,
part of the tests. Can you share what we learned?
of course. What's interesting is that very early we have learned lessons through the conducted tests. This was not a linear process, but really a test and learn approach. So we chose topics first that we thought could add value to our customers, not only soft skills, but also hard skills. So we chose specific topics that could also be, I would say, needed by our customers. And as we were using an LLM, large language model, we quickly experienced that some topics were not so relevant. For instance, finance. So we excluded these topics. For the companions, we had a full test protocol to make sure answers were appropriate and that our guidelines and DNA were fully respected. So we learned that the quality of the answers depended on the fuel that was injected at the third level that Patricia just showed you. So the quality of the knowledge base was really key. So we paid specific attention to this knowledge base, and we made it simple, clear, very well structured, no board, no acronyms to avoid misunderstanding. We also decided to reinforce some rules and restrictions to avoid those misuses. No reference to our competitors, no reference to psychological or medical issues, no, let's say, advising in terms of counsel. So we placed stronger borders. We also gave more specific guidelines for the behaviors of the AI companions. So all of these guaranteed that the companions would behave appropriately, and as tests were satisfactory, we could simply move on.
Yes. And now on the screen, you can see the two views from back office and from the front office. So our goal was to make these operational, not just concepts or principles, but something that teams could actually use at scale. So concretely, what we have today is a two-part system, okay? So on the left, you can see the back office. This is where our teams create and configure and validate the AI companions. So this is where we apply everything we've been discussing. We upload the knowledge base, we configure the behavior, we define the rules, and then once the creator finishes one, it sends to a validator to check if it's behaving accordingly. Okay, so I can see some questions on the chat that I will come back later. Of course, it was not easy because we took a lot of interactions to make sure that we could do this properly. Then what we did is, and you can see here on the right, we integrated the agents inside our LMS. So we are using Moodle, so we decided to create a Moodle plugin that would connect to our back office, and this would allow us to directly put inside each course a specific agent. So this is important because we don't want AI to be a separate tool. We want it to live inside the learning experience. So it appears inside the course and it supports the learner in context. So it interacts with the content from the course, and it includes the pedagogical design that was conceived by the trainer or the consultant. So what does it mean for us? It means that we are now able to create AI companions at scale, because the example you see here is to lead highly effective meetings. So it means that on the back office, we created that agent, okay? But if we have a course on time management, we create an agent on time management. If it's something else, we create one specifically. So this gives us the flexibility, and it also means that we can embed each one in the program. So we are leveraging on all the Cegos expertise behind them. So to make this more concrete, let me show you how it actually works from a learner perspective. So let's see here a real example of an interaction happening during the course. So the AI companion is directly embedded in the learning environment, so the learner doesn't need to leave the course to interact with it. You can see that the interaction is contextual, so it's based on the course content. And depending on how we did the configuration, it can explain concepts, it can ask questions, or it can guide practice. All the responses you see here are based on the validated content that we designed. So this is a simple example, but it shows how the AI can become part of the learning experience and not something separated from it. So now let's see, we can move. Let's see how we've used our Cegos expertise to ensure a responsible agent. Let's start with the multicultural challenge. We knew we wanted to use the AI companions internationally. So one of the key questions came quickly. How do we make this work in a global context? Of course, this was not just a translation challenge, because of course AI could do the translation automatically. It was actually a cultural challenge. So as some of you know, LLMs are culturally biased by nature because they are trained on data sets that are dominated by certain languages and certain contexts. So if we rely on one global data set, this would tend to flatten the learning experience and we would lose the nuances from each culture. So let me give you a simple example. Snow, the word snow. Maybe you don't know that in some cultures, like in the northern countries, there are up to 40 words to describe snow because people experience and interpret it differently. But in other countries, like my country, Portugal, we only have one word for snow. It's never. So this means that depending on the data set that you are using, of course, the experience is going to be different. So learning works in a similar way. The same topic can require different references, different examples, or ways of interacting depending on the culture. So our choice was clear. So even if it takes more effort, it takes more time, we decided to use one validated knowledge base for each language. So we do change sometimes the examples in the languages, and we do validate the knowledge base with local people. So this was important for us because we wanted the AI to speak the language. And we wanted it to reflect the cultural and professional context behind it. And this is exactly what you will see now in the AI companions that we have already developed. So Isabel, can you tell us what we are working on?
Yes. So where are we today? We already have 6 international AI companions that are fully operational. 4 of them are focused on transversal skills such as time and energy management, assertiveness, creativity, high performance teams. 2 are dedicated to specific functions such as sales with sales performance management and HR through HR business partner. On top of these, we have 4 additional AI companions because 2 are in common with the corporate offer. So these 4 local AI companions have been developed for France, such as nonviolent communication, change management, difficult HR interviews, and animation. These AI companions are fully available on shelf inside the Cegos LMS and are associated to 14 on-shelf training. And this is just a start. The uniqueness of this solution is that each companion is based on the Cegos expertise, as Patricia mentioned, and the contents that we created are fully owned by Cegos. Also, why choose those themes? Well, we choose those themes because they apply to several trainings that are highly demanded because they are needed by our customers. Also, what is a source of differentiation is that the AI companion can endorse different specific roles and postures and behaviors that go with it, according to the theme, the purpose, and what the learner needs. So, what can we expect more precisely? We can expect three different postures. As a tutor, the AI companion will support the learner reviewing a concept, a methodology, and its purpose is to understand and anchor knowledge. As a coach, the learner will be supported in one's reflection, helped in analyzing situations in connection with their own context. And as a simulator, the learner will be proposed realistic scenarios, enabling him to practice like in real life and test exactly their way of interacting in a safe environment. The AI companion can endorse one of those rules and also a combination of them according to the purpose we have when we design the AI companion. So let us take a few examples. A first example is the AI companion focused on assertiveness. Learners may review the concept definition of what assertiveness really is and means. The learners can get criteria to identify some behaviors such as aggressiveness, manipulation, passivity. They may learn how to behave when facing such behaviors in a constructive way. They will also learn how to express disagreement. So these are simply examples of what they can ask their AI companion based on assertiveness. And more importantly, learners will get feedback on what they do well and what they can improve, being given different tips that they can try through a simulator. A second example is the AI companion creativity. As you can see, they can ask what are the key stages of a creative process. They can help be prepared on a creativity workshop on a certain specific topic. They can set a problem and share a problem they have and have the companion propose them 10 creative ideas to address this specific problem. They can be explained the right facilitation posture to foster creativity during a group session. So as you may notice, it is not only on the what can I do, but also on the how can I do it and with what kind of posture. So let us examine now the added value from the learner's point of view. So now imagine you attended training based on how to conduct difficult HR interviews. You did not have much time to apply what you have learned as you were so busy back to work. It's been 3 months now, and next week you have an interview with someone from your team. And it's going to be a tough one because you will have to inform this person that you are putting an end to his or her trying period because he's not giving full satisfaction. It is the first time you have to conduct such an interview, and you sense it's not going to be a piece of cake. Well, the good news is AI Companion is there, and it will guide you step by step on the methodology. The AI Companion will give you tips to prepare, conduct this interview, and on how to react in case there would be too much emotion. It will also train you to play your role and announce the news. It will also give you feedback in an empathetic way. It will tell you specifically what you need to improve and how by giving you tips. And it will also inform you on what you do well and where you really foster. It can endorse the role of your team member as many times as you want and increase the level of demand to improve your level of mastery. And on top of that, you will feel safe. Nobody will judge you. It will be accessible whenever you want from wherever you are, giving you flexibility. You will be ready and feel confident on the D-Day. And if needed, you can focus on the play role on a specific need. Maybe focus on how to react in front of a strong emotion because you don't feel so much at ease on that topic. In a nutshell, AI Companion will help learners with immediate support on what is needed. It will offer step-by-step guidance, encourage improvement with empathy and tips, will help feel confident to face a situation by encouraging autonomy and within a fixed time frame of 6 months. Because 6 months, it's the time we are giving access in our Cegos LMS to the AI Companion solution. And for the company, it reduces the time to competency as close as possible from the learner's need. So now we are back with our initial question: how to make learning stick with an AI companion. So here is the lessons we've learned with Patricia and the experts who contributed to building the solution to make the learning stick with the AI companion. So first, it has to serve a purpose to include it into a learning path, not as a standalone approach. Second, its success depends on the different ambassadors and stakeholders. So please embark all of them from the very beginning. Experts for the content, trainers for adoption, and designers for what is technically feasible. Third, share advantages with the learners and give them a lift during the training. Then, design a companion from the learner's needs, not from what you think would be good for them. Give guidance and examples on how to use the AI companions in an efficient and personalized way. And last, this is not a one-shot process, so reinforce over time with improvements, new functionalities. Using AI requires to be aware it is a continuous improvement process because technology in that area changes so fast. So what we have fully aware of is that we need to monitor compliance. And of course, to be compliant with the AI Act, with human supervision, applying GDPR and AI Act requirements through log audits, for instance. We will also introduce new features such as voice, which will be more fun for the users rather than chat, which we are currently on doing. And last, we will learn, of course, from our clients and customers. How do they use it? How performing is it? What is the quality and value they find in the AI companions? And that we will get, of course, through the logs. So what about you all? Where do you stand today? What is your view? Please feel free to ask any question, and we will be happy to answer with Patricia.
Yeah. I already said some questions on the chat.
Okay.
Maybe I can I start? So not easy to choose just one. Okay, but I do see here one from Sonia. Sonia Norona is sharing that she also sees some difficulties on the data to feed to the AI. So maybe I can give more details on this. So yes, Sonia, there were many challenges also for us. When we created the back office, it actually allowed us to create a multi-agent approach. So we didn't want the AI companion to go to the internet to find the answer. We wanted to make sure that the answer was based on the program course. So of course we trained also our experts, but what happens in the back office is we can create new agents. So like I was saying, agent for time management, and then we feed the knowledge base just for this program. Okay, so I'm trying to see if I'm answering to all your questions.
I think there is one, Patricia, asked by Ulrike Sprung.
Yes.
What is the new role of the trainer in this process?
Yes.
Do we need them anymore?
Of course.
Sure,
Well,
do. Maybe I'll answer that question. Of course we do. The trainers must be some ambassadors, some supports. So we need to embark them from the very beginning. So they need to be at ease with each AI companions, and not everyone will be capable to do everything. So we are going to completely associate them. We are engaging them through presentations. We have them manipulate, be at ease with AI, which is the minimum. And of course, they need to show the users how to use the AI bodies as a complement to the training. So this is key. So they need to be at ease, they need to explain the added value, and they need to be not threatened by fully part of the process.
And there's a question from Ina about why was there such a little percentage from Germany. So I have to say, Ina, that in the voice of the client, we are making interviews to clients from all over the world. And the question about AI, it was actually interesting. The two countries that are more resistant to implementing AI in L&D are Germany and France. And what we understood from the comments is that in those two countries, people are more afraid of the risks that is bringing. They are afraid of the data leaks, for example, the security. And so that's why they are still waiting to see concrete use cases before implementing. But I also have to say that one of the reasons why we decided to create our own solution was so that we could control that part. to be 100% compliant because we control the hosting. We know conversations with the learners are not used to train the LLMs. So these conversations don't go out to the cloud to be used by everyone. No, they stay in a specific server. Okay, so this is just one of the examples.
There is also one interesting question from, let me see, Anne-Catherine Wiese. Is this tool available only connected to a learning path or also as a continuous tool? Well, the way we designed it is to have it completely, fully integrated into our LMS, our Cegos LMS. So we recommend it not to be a standalone tool, because if we want it to be impactful, it has to be used as a continuum, in the continuity of a training, because it serves a purpose. Okay, it will really enable the people to anchor what they have learned during their training. So it's really part of, how do I make sure after training that I will simply apply what I have learned, practice, exercise, and carry on.
I also see a question here from Jean-Christophe, and he's asking about the most useful client feedbacks you get that allowed improvements. So Jean-Christophe, we did a lot of testing, and we actually made surveys to the people that were testing it. And it was interesting to see that because the AI is replying, but I don't know if you know the concept of temperature. So we reduced the temperature of this AI so it could not go everywhere. So they really felt it was safe, that it was replying like it was a Cegos collaborator. And of course, we also got other feedbacks about how it was replying, like the pace that it was replying. So, of course, like Isabel was saying, this is a continuous improvement. Some were asking us if there could be audio voice interaction. So this is something that we are now working on to bring it. And this is a continuous process. So we are monitoring, we are seeing what is happening. And in the next few months, we are bringing new versions of the tool that will include those feedbacks.
Anne-Catherine Wiese asked, how long will this tool be accessible after the finish of the training path? That's an interesting one, because we spent some time with Patricia and the other experts answering that question. Well, finally, we decided it would be available for 6 months after the training. Why 6 months? Because we need people to have sufficient time to practice, exercise, and after 6 months, we thought they should be ready. Really, they should be ready. Otherwise, they should go back to the training. So we thought 6 months was a good choice.
Yeah, and it's linked to the question from Ian Walker about the learning in the flow of work. So it is. It means that during those 6 months period, when people are back to work, the companion is also available. So anytime when they have a question, they know that that AI companion will reply based on what they learned in the course. So you may ask me, but what is the difference between your AI companion and ChatGPT, for example? Well, the key difference is that you can trust that it will reply based on what you've been learning. It's not going to hallucinate or bring content from sources that you don't know. Okay? But it is available on the flow of work. I have a question. Isabel, do you want to take this one about the roles?
Yes, I was just, thank you. You showed 4 roles: expert, trainer, consultant, learner. How do you how do trainer and consultants roles differ? So here we are not talking about the different roles that the AI companion can endorse. They are completely different. But we are talking about the people who contribute to train. So in fact, the experts, these are the people who are really expert on a field, finance, HR, as I am, or management. So they are really the key reference on this topic. Trainers and consultants are pretty much the same people. In fact, they will train or they will go to, let's say, customers or clients. So these people will be really in front of our customers, okay? Either during a training or directly in front of our customers. And the learner, well, in fact, it's those people who are being trained, okay? The final user, okay?
I believe that the four roles were also linked to the other slide that you showed, but these are not the ones. So it's we decided that we wanted to have the flexibility for the AI to play a different role during the course. And this is something we are going to continue developing, because in some courses, we wanted to act more like, for example, a coach. In others, it could be like a practice companion. So in the back office, we have described the main behaviors like a template. So it means that for one course, we can select one dominant role or the other. And this is something we intend to continue to develop. Okay. And I have Elder asking a time frame for a simple average size project. For example, sales performance scope. So, Elder, the good news of having a back office is that many of the things are already defined. So when we want to create a new agent, like the one you are asking, like a sales performance, what we want to make sure is that the knowledge base is well organized. So what we need to do is organize that knowledge base, upload it to the agent, fine-tune the behaviors that we want, and it's ready. So I would say the time it needs, it depends on how ready the knowledge base is as well. So the good news is that it should be something relatively fast to deploy. Okay. I can see more questions, but I was not following. Isabel, did you find any other questions there?
I'm looking for that. Sounds and translation both, okay. Would be interesting. So it's more a remark than a question.
Okay.
From Anne-Catherine Visa. In fact, it would be interesting to have this tool as a standalone that keeps being available, giving access to all macro areas that are connected to training paths. The user participates in the past. We do several training paths with Cegos for years. It would be nice to have this follow-up possibility, something like a continuous coach tutor after the course for more time. Well, we had to decide at some point, and we made it consistent with the opening of all the documentation we offer within the LMS path. So we wanted it to be fully aligned. So that's why we chose 6 months, because the learning path within our Cegos LMS is accessible for 6 months now, not 12 months. I must precise. Answering to another question.
Yes. And it's interesting, Anne-Catherine. We did receive some requests from clients asking us to put this tool at, like, let's say, system level, like LMS level. And it would be there, and it could, for example, point to specific courses, etc. So our decision today is to use this as a learning companion. And we know that if we give the AI a huge data set, the quality of the replies also decrease. So our choice now, today, is to have a clear scope for the AI to operate. And we decided that this should be in the scope of a course, something that I'm learning today. I want to practice, I want to transfer. And even during the training, there will be exercises and activities where the trainer will suggest for the learner to use the AI as a peer. So it's during the learning experience. But who knows? Maybe in the future, we will bring it to a different level.
And for France, for the moment, we decided to use the AI companion after the training, not in the course of the training, to encourage, let's say, I've got the French word in my mind, I'm sorry, engagement, commitment, and of the trainer.
Mm. So Elsa is asking if it's only text to text and what about other types of interactions. So Elsa, one of the things we are now working on is, of course, in the backlog. Like Isabel said, it's a continuous improvement process. And we do want to put the audio interaction very, very soon.
Yes. And we're also planning to develop some more AI companions. As we said, it's only the beginning. So we had to start with a few ones, but we already have other plans. You are mentioning for commercial people also. I can tell you that my expert colleague on sales and commercial is already thinking about how to argue and make commercial simulations for sure. And we've got plenty of ideas, but we just have to start by prioritizing.
So Laurence is asking if trainees will be able to use the companion during the course. Yes, so I do believe, Laurence, that if it's properly used, it will not disrupt the flow of the course. Quite the opposite. It will be an opportunity to have more role plays and more personalized exercises. So the way the courses are now designed are considering that we have this tool available. So there could be moments where there are specific exercises designed for the learners to interact with the companion. And then there are other exercises where they are interacting with the colleagues. Okay, so it will be part of the learning experience.
Right. I think there's an interesting question from Jean-Christophe Perrin saying, do the AI tools perform best for large audience or narrow audience topics given the time for development? I think what really brings added value is to have an AI companion that is quite expert based on an expertise knowledge base. Otherwise, it will generate general answers. So if we really want it to give added value, it has to be specific. It has to be focused on an expertise with a specific purpose. So I would say it can be a large audience, but focused on a specific expertise.
Mm-hmm. Sally is asking about data protection, confidentiality. Well, Sally, I have to say that in the beginning, for us, trust was something key, because if the learners didn't trust the system, they would not use it. So we made sure that the way it's designed, the architecture, is 100% compliant with all the rules. So we have hosted the system in Europe. We are using, with HAG approach, Mistral, but all the replies from the learners are not saved or shared outside this ecosystem. So it means that the confidentiality of the information is guaranteed. Of course, you always have a side effect, because we are not saving the conversations. It means that when the learner comes back the following day, the AI won't remember the conversation. So it does need to be like a balance today, because when you want to be 100% compliant, of course, you need to give up some of the huge potential of AI. But this is like everything else we do, is finding the good balance between both.
I think we have one last question, and I think it will be time.
This is already time. All right.
Yes, almost. Well, I think there is one more question that is interesting from let's say let's see.
I see this one from Katerina. It's also interesting.
Anne-Catherine, that's it. Sorry. She's Anne-Catherine is saying it's only connected to the LearningHub or also at adult courses organized by Cegos. Well, it's true that we have several options. First options is that these AI companions are automatically offered with our on-shelf courses hosted in the LMS. But we also offer solutions for our customers who want to have specific customization and have an AI companion hosted in their own LMS, which is also possible, but then it's a different offer, it's a different approach, and it requires us to work directly with the customers to build his own solution.
So we do have more questions, but I don't know if we still have time to answer one more.
Maybe one more, Patricia.
One more. I see this one from Katerina about what happens if the AI doesn't have the answer to the question. So to be honest, this is something that really makes me mad because tools like ChatGPT, they always reply, even if, let's say, if they don't know. So this is something we wanted to make sure that our AI companion, of course, it's a pre-trained LLM. So in theory, it always knows the answer for anything. But what we did was we defined a specific rule where if the reply is not, let's say, in the scope of the course, the AI will say it's out of the scope or speak with your trainer. So these are some of the safeguards that we included in the back office. I could give you more details, of course, Katerina.
I think we are done. It's the time. And
yes.
Really, I think we thank you so much for your attention and participating and all those great questions. We were happy to answer with Patricia, of course. And well, we wish you a very good day, and we can still keep in touch, of course. Here are our LinkedIn QR code. If you want to keep in touch with us, we'll be happy.
Yes.
So thanks again. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, everyone.
And have a great day.